It is currently January 5th, 2022. I am Bobby. Welcome to the Casual Hour, a podcast ostensibly about video games, but mostly about telling Johnny to fuck off. Joining me, as always, consistently without fail, the gamer on the go, Chase Kinnicky. Chase, how are you?
I'm devastated, Bobby.
Why? Is Johnny?
My father, no, well, no, not about that. God, my father is better than me at a video game, and I don't know how to feel about it anymore.
What even is a video game anymore, Chase?
That's a great question. Anyway,
Hey, big ups to your dad. It sounds like he's the origin of your competitiveness. And
probably.
congratulations to both of you. A toast to your father. Um,
I'm sure he'll appreciate it. He is now the 29th best hold-down player in the world, which is better than my 110th.
that's pretty damn impressive.
I mean, sure. There's thousands of people on that leaderboard. They're both very impressive, but
How
his
often
is
are? I mean,
his
is
is
he
more
just playing
impressive.
more than you, or is he better
Oh,
than
he's
you?
definitely playing more than me. Like he doesn't play video games all that often, so to have one on his phone that he just plays every once in a while in front of the TV, like that's the only one he plays. So he's played a ton of that game, and
Damn.
he's probably way surpassed the amount of time I've put
How
into it.
much are you like? There's a while where you were only playing that game. That's still the case.
Yeah, I still play that game probably once every couple
And
days
you're playing this on your phone.
at least. Yeah, I play it on my phone.
Okay.
I mean, I
And
also play I also play Fire Emblem Heroes still. Just don't tell anybody.
wait, what? I love
Yeah,
so
I
the
know.
App
I
Store
do.
has a new section that's like gaming classics, and that's actually it's like that's the first one is Fire Emblem here. I'm like, is it what
I
is
mean, it's based on classics, but I wouldn't call
sure?
itself a classic.
That's a that's a fucking bold statement, my friend, to call
Yeah,
that a classic. Holy
yeah.
cow! Holy
I
cow!
have found like a solid balance though, where I play that game mainly free to play, and it's very rarely where I'm putting money into that anymore,
What kind of
which is
stuff
nice because
are you playing on that?
do what
What kind of stuff are you playing on that?
on just my Fire Emblem Heroes.
Yeah, like what? I mean, if you're doing free to play stuff, like what are you doing?
I mean, you still play the content that's there. It's just when there are new characters, I'm not shelling out $100 every time there's a new banner to get the hot new
Sure.
hotness. Like I feel like I've got a handful of characters I'm pretty happy with. I'll pull for stuff that I might want to upgrade skills on to my kind of main cast. Or if there's like a really cool new character, the one I put a little bit more money into was somewhat recently. It was for this New Year's banner that's up here right now. They're original characters for heroes, which is kind of interesting. Um, but they're just really fucking good. It's what's called a pair up unit, so it's actually two characters kind of put together,
Okay.
and they have some extra bonuses that go along with that. Anyway, we don't need to talk about Fire Emblem Heroes. I just am still playing that game. There was a new book recently that came out
Wait,
for
a
that.
what?
Sorry, that's what they call like their seasons are books. So no, there was not like a physical thing with pages,
Got
but
it.
there was a new season of Fire Emblem Heroes that recently started that has a bunch of new shit in it.
Chase, that's a lot, my friend.
It is, it is,
Um,
and I still play Animal Crossing, but I don't talk about that on the show until
yeah,
it's ready to
we all
talk
have
about.
things that we'd rather not talk about on here, but tonight,
Sure.
however, we are going to be talking about a few things. Let's run down what you can expect if you've never tuned in before. First of all, Happy New Year! Welcome to the Casual Hour. We talk about video games every week. We do deep dives. We do streams on Mondays and Fridays. It's going to be a really great time. Tonight, however, is probably my favorite type of episode that we do here at the show. And what we are going to do tonight is break down the games that are currently on their way for the month of January. So before we do that, we tell you about some games that we've recently been playing. We look at the games that we picked for December of 2021, and we'll ask ourselves the tough question: did we get it right when we picked those games? And then we will
The
look
answer
ahead.
is almost assuredly no. We did
No,
not.
we did not. We look at the free quote unquote free games. So the games you get for Xbox games with gold for January, PlayStation Plus, and then what new games came out for Game Pass. And then we look at the games coming out in January. This isn't every game. It's not even like really a curated list, but it does tend to dip its toes across PC, Switch, PlayStation, and Xbox. I think it's a pretty
Like it's mostly stuff. It's mostly stuff we're interested in, or or stuff that we think is worth talking about at the very least.
So you found yourself in a good spot. We Johnny is out this week. We wish him
Great spot.
Yeah, I mean, look, you got just Chase and Bobby, no Johnny. So we can just kick dirt on that guy all night long and not feel as good as we would if he was here. But regardless, we're gonna hop into it because we do got some stuff to get through. And Chase, I think it's only fitting that you start us off with a little bit of what you've been playing.
Sure. Well, I'll start with something that you and I have both been playing recently.
Ooh.
And that is a game called Banners of Ruin. So this is not a new game.
No.
In fact, we have a quick look of it that's going to show up probably next week, I imagine.
Next week.
Okay. And I thought it was really cool when we recorded the quick look.
Yeah.
Enough that I thought, you know what, I'll throw some money at this dev. It's on Switch. It's been on Switch for a while. Yeah, it was $20.
Okay.
I used an eShop gift card that was a Christmas gift from my good friend Bobby Pease on this thing. And Bobby, gotta say, it's bad on Switch.
I had a feeling.
Yeah.
I had a feeling. I don't know, man. Like, I think deck builders are tough on that platform. I really do.
They are. I mean, it can be done well. Monster Train, I think, plays fantastically on a Switch.
Yeah.
Slay the Spire, I think, plays great on a Switch. It's not impossible to do these things, but this game, Banners of Ruin. Let me back up. Let's talk about the game a little bit more generally before I get into the quibbles with the Switch version. So it's a game where you start out with two characters. You kind of get to pick what classes they are, and the classes are really races. In that you can be
warrior, rogue, mage. It's just
right.
Like this is a.
It's they're based on animals, so it's like you want to be a bear, and a bear has like a set of starting equipment and kind of specific talents that class has, or do you want to be a mouse? And mice have again specific talents, specific kind of starting equipment that they get.
More like abilities when you talk about it, right?
Yeah, like those talents turn into cards, but they are like specific cards that those characters only can use.
Right.
You can also just pick two bears if you wanted to, and then those talents would kind of cross over, so you can use those talents on either character, which is kind of cool. But there are reasons you might want to go into one mono race and just have multiples of the same. But also spreading it out and gives you more options as you play as well. It looks like there are other races in the game as well.
There's like a fox or something, right?
I think there's a fox. There's a weasel. I think there's a wolf. There's a few other ones too. I think there are 6 in all, and I think you even get to a point where you can have at least 3 characters in your party. But it looks like you have to unlock these characters by purchasing them, like
in the game. You don't like find the city or anything. Okay.
No, it'll be like, hey, this character's in a bar. Do you want to recruit this character? And you have to spend some of your money on it, and then I think that unlocks it as a playable class later on other runs. But I think you would still get that character as like a third character on that run. So this is a roguelike deck builder, like the other ones that we've talked about, and the cards that show up. Yeah. Definitely haven't gotten exhausted by this yet, and the cards are pretty cool. Like some cards work for both characters. Some cards are race specific or equipment specific, so you can equip different gear to your characters, armor and weapons, and either offhand weapons or shields, depending on what you want. And some weapons are two-handed, so they'll take stuff up that way. Like the bear starts out with a longsword, and that longsword has specific cards that tie to it. Like there's one that attacks like a whole AOE effect on the other side of the of opponents, and that's something that only the longsword can do because it's a longsword. It's long, whereas a hatchet is what the mouse starts off with, and the hatchet has an ability that can hit multiple times, and it works a little differently. So those are like, hey, if you have an axe card, any axe you find in the world can use these cards. And if you have a longsword, then you can use any of the longsword cards that are there. But an axe can't use the longsword card. Anyway, and you're able to change this equipment out as you play through the game. You're able to loot stuff. On my first run, I found a really cool 2-handed bow that was called an expert bow. Mm-hmm. Got a bow. I put it on my mouse. It allowed me to get it. Yeah, I looted a chest and it was in there.
Damn.
So able to grab that there and equip it. I lost my shield and I lost my axe because I had to use the 2-handed bow. One of the bummers, I think, and maybe I'm just not playing it correctly or not seeing the option for it, but even when you unequip a piece of gear, a weapon, those cards are still in your deck. So I would have a bear with a longsword and a mouse with a 2-handed bow, and I'd still be getting axe cards. And I was like, well, nobody can use these. So why would I change? And I was wondering, like, why would I change equipment if I knew I was just going to fill my deck with a bunch of garbage that I wouldn't be able to use on some turns? So maybe there's a way to weed stuff out of your deck that I just haven't seen yet. I don't know. And the reason I don't know is because I think it fucking plays terribly on Switch. It is so weird, the control scheme. It's hard to even explain. It uses both analog sticks. In that one analog stick is picking characters, like you have your character screen and you're seeing, okay, that's fine. And like, no, that seems okay. But then if I ever want to play a card, now I have to use the right stick to page through the different cards, and it's just the weirdest thing. And you have to confirm when you're over a character with your left stick, and it's like, okay, well, I have to hit a button now to confirm that's the character I want to now switch to. It's just really fumbly in a way that I don't think you have a problem with on PC. If I had a mouse and I was able to just click and drag a lot of this stuff, I think I would have zero problems with it and be having a lot more fun. But the Switch version just slows down all the mechanics to a crawl.
I get why they would put on the Switch. I'm not here to like shit on the Switch.
It's a very popular system.
It's a very popular system, but for the life of me, I don't understand why these developers that have games like this that really work well. It's a deck builder, so it's not active input, but the input is really great with a mouse. I don't understand why they don't move most of these games over to a tablet, like an iPad or a Fire tablet. Like playing Slay the Spire on my iPad is fucking awesome. Playing SteamWorld Quest on my iPad, fucking awesome. Like even a game like FTL, I'm sure is better with a mouse and keyboard, but still on the iPad, it's very serviceable on that, and it's fine. But hearing these stories about Griftlands and now Banners of Ruin on the Switch, like that's one of the reasons why I haven't picked up Loop Hero on my Switch. I'd love to be able to play that on the go, but I don't want to roll the dice on that input. And that's not shitting on the Switch. It's not designed for these types of games. It's just not. Like there's too much movement happening there. Way too much.
I mean, and again though, like there have been success stories on the Switch with these kinds of games before. Like you said, Slay the Spire plays well on iPad, but that game plays really well on the Switch. It's totally fine there. It's just that I think it takes a little extra work from developers to think about how you translate a game's controls from a mouse and keyboard setup to a controller setup. And in this instance, I just don't think they did a very good job. And that's a disappointment. And also, I don't think it's going to get fixed because this game is pretty old. It's been out on Switch for a couple of years now, I believe. Which tells me like it's probably not getting any updates here soon. So this is probably just what I have to deal with, which is sad. I'm considering it. Can you look it up for me, Bobby? Does this game have a Mac version? Because
Uh,
I'd probably be totally fine. Just go ahead and buying it again on Mac
where do
and
they have
playing it
that
on
listed
my.
on the Steam page? I'm on there right now.
It's usually got like a little icon, little Apple icon right underneath the photo of the game. I can open Steam and start looking.
I don't think it does, man.
Okay.
This game came out July 29th, 2021, by the way, on Steam at least. Um,
Yeah. Okay. Yes, but that was also 1.0. It's been out in early access for like a year before that, so that's why I'm saying
let's
it's
see
been
here.
out for a couple years.
Version Windows. Yeah, I think this is Windows only. But I'll tell you what, like not to like ring this bell again with you,
Yeah,
but
it is.
it's on Mac.
No, it's
Oh,
it's
okay.
just on Windows.
This will be
So that's a bummer.
this will be a really cool thing for your Steam Deck.
Will it? Because isn't that the problem? Like the Steam Deck is just like a
No,
controller.
no, the Steam Deck has the two mouse pads on it.
Yeah,
And
I'm not.
everything I've heard from people who have had their hands on it, they're pretty positive on that input. And it makes sense because that Steam controller, even though that was considered a failure, the one thing that
Mm,
people talked about is those two radial pads that you could use for mouse input apparently
yeah.
worked very well, and these are just variants of that. That's honestly the part of this
Uh,
which the Steam Deck that I'm the most like intrigued slash like pessimistic about is
yeah.
what's that going to feel like. I hope it's great, but I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not super sold on that. I imagine, though, there will be the ability to pair a wireless
Mhm.
mouse to a Steam Deck, and then that would alleviate the problems.
100%. That's
So,
one of the reasons why I
yeah,
have this here.
so that might be something I do in the future because I do think this game is pretty cool. I think it's got a really cool kind of choose your own adventure thing where you get three paths basically everywhere you go, and you make those options, and like other games kind of do that too. But
Maybe we'll stream it on a
I
Monday.
just like the way. I would love to stream it on Monday. I would love to watch you play it on a PC where I'm not going to get frustrated by the way it controls, because I think the mechanics that are in there for combat and the card stuff
Yeah.
is kind of interesting, and I would like to play more of it, even if I don't think it is quite as good as a Slay the Spire or a Monster Train.
Looks like July 30th, 2020. It came out in early access, hit 1.0 almost a year to the date. It was July 29th, 2021. Um, so pretty impressive. I think it's a smaller team that makes this. It looks like Monte Barro is the name of the developer. Um, it's a cool looking game. It's got a really awesome art style to it. Again, Banners of
Oh yeah,
Ruin. We'll probably stream this in the next few weeks here on our Casual Monday segment. We'll talk more about that here in a little bit. But Banners of Ruin looks. I like the look of this game a whole lot. I think it's really cool.
yeah. It's definitely got something. I just wish it had a little bit more. And man, that Switch version
Well,
is bumming me out.
talking about good looking games that you can play on the go, Chase.
Well, I can play them now.
What's your
That's not true. I guess I could have always played it, but yeah. So when we were doing our Game of the Year shows, one of the things that came up was like the game. What was it like the game we thought would be like our 20. We always do a category that's like what was our favorite game that we played for the first
your
time that
first?
year,
Yeah,
even though it's not from that year.
yeah. Your
And
best like non 2021 game that you played in 2021.
yeah, and then we have another category that's like, hey, what's your backlog game? What's the game that you missed out on this year that you really wanted to play, but for whatever circumstances didn't play? Probably a game you'll pick up in the next year, and might even be something that wins that category for the next year. And for me, it was a game called Fantasian,
Mm-hmm.
which is from the original Final Fantasy creator, Hironobu Sakaguchi. Nobuo Uematsu is doing the music for it. He worked on a lot of Final Fantasy music as well. Um, and it's got a real Bravely Default kind of look to it that got me excited. And I was like, this all sounds great. And the thing that didn't get me excited is that it was an Apple Arcade only game.
Yeah, they were like pretty heavily involved in this game, I believe.
Yes, I believe Apple funded some or most of the game. I know it showed up a lot when Apple was marketing Apple Arcade back when they cared about it. Um, I don't know. Maybe they still care about it. I just don't hear them talk about it like they did when it was first coming out.
Yeah.
Um, I got really excited about this game because it looks awesome. Like here's this cool ass RPG by the original Final Fantasy developer. Why wouldn't I want to play this thing? Um, but the reason I wouldn't want to play it is because it's locked to your phones and locked to your iPads and iDevices. Because like that's just not where I want to play games. I want to play this thing on a Switch. And then I got extra excited about it. We did a quick look on it sometime last year, and as you were playing it and showing me more of the mechanics, it's like, holy shit, these mechanics seem really cool. The way you can save, the way you can bank these combat encounters and fight them all at once and get extra bonuses for doing that. It allows you to search through dungeons faster. And then it also has this kind of wanted style. You can bend your different attacks and have them do different AoE kinds of damage
Like
on things.
basically, like you can hit groups of a cluster of enemies, or you can even, to your point, using that wanted analogy, you can hit like if they're on the trajectory of your movement, you can hit quite a few. There's like really no limitation.
You just arc it. You just arc how you're going to want your attack to go, and it'll hit all the enemies that are in that row.
Clever way of adding a little bit more hands-on to a turn-based strategy. I really think that it's got a tactile feel to it that you don't get on other types of games like this.
Totally, and especially on a touchscreen, and that's why I think it plays so well on an iPad. The problem is I didn't have an iPad that was capable of running this game. I had an older iPad.
Your iPad couldn't do it.
I think I had the original iPad Mini, and it just it doesn't run Apple Arcade. It doesn't run a new version of iOS that's capable of running Apple Arcade.
Got it. Okay.
So it was just a dead end, and that sucked. I did try playing it on my phone, and it just felt too small. It was not. It didn't feel right at all. I was hating it. And I thought, oh well, maybe I'll just play it on my MacBook Pro. I could totally play it through the Mac App Store, and I did, and I tried that. I was like, this also feels like garbage. I tried plugging in a Switch Pro controller to my MacBook Pro and going, well, maybe this will feel better. No. Not really. No, it feels fine running around, but in the combat and trying to do those arcing kind of attacks, it just didn't have the precision that you wanted that you could get out of a touchscreen. So I said that I was going to steal your iPad and play this game, and
over here, though.
And look what I got over here.
Oh yeah, man.
This one isn't yours though. I actually purchased this one. I put a Monument Valley 2 wallpaper on it.
Wallpaper.
It's a very good wallpaper. So yes, I now have a new iPad Mini. It seems fine. I'm gonna get a case for it here in a couple days because the case it came with was terrible. And that means I've put a little time into Fantasian. It still had my old save from the last time I tried this out, and I was like, I've forgotten everything about that. Let's just restart. So I haven't actually gotten anything new. I'm still just the main character right now. I haven't gotten any of the party members. So I'm super early in it. I know this is an extremely long game. It actually got a part 2 later in 2021. And I haven't played any of that.
How does it feel? Does it feel as good as you remember?
It feels fine. I don't love tapping to make my character run to a spot because it does feel a little. No, like it's. The problem is what I want is an analog stick that lets me just control the character, and then using the touchscreen to be able to use the attacks.
Yeah.
If only there was some kind of system out there that both had analog sticks and a touchscreen that could do something like this.
I'm going to send you offline. There's a device that clips onto your Mini that looks a lot like
you've shown me that before, and that might be something.
Because then you can do that. You can literally just be moving it around and touching your screen.
Yeah, I might do that. We'll see. I'm talking about the Switch. Like this game should be on the Switch. It would be great.
Is this a game that? I mean, I've got a pretty decent chunk of this game carved out already, and I like the game. I've been just lazy or distracted. But knowing that you do another podcast that talks about these things, like maybe that's a game, because I don't think anybody else is going to play this game besides
Sure.
you and me on here.
Probably not at this point.
So
Yeah.
if this is something that you feel has the pedigree for your show, maybe I'll put a little bit extra effort to play this alongside you.
Yeah, I mean, let me get to a point that's close to where you are,
Mhm.
because again, I'm really just restarting this game,
Sure.
so I'm not very far in it at all. But from what I've played before, from what I've seen from our quick look, I think this has the potential to be a really cool
Yeah.
RPG that is basically traditional, but has enough interesting gimmicks to it that it's going to feel a little bit like of its own. And I think it would make a good Gamers on the Go podcast episode because it is on Apple Arcade and it isn't getting the recognition it probably would get if it was on more platforms than it is right now.
Nice, man. That's
But yeah, like
Fantasian.
those. Yeah, that's really all I'm playing. I mean, I'm still playing Super Robot Wars 30, but I don't need to talk about that.
Yeah.
And then hold down Fire Emblem and and
Sure.
Animal Crossing. But
So
how about you? What have you been playing these
yeah,
days?
man. I'm actually gonna remember to do this. I'm gonna update
Okay,
the note that we use here to show what I'm talking about because I always forget to do it when I'm talking.
sure.
Um, so just a really brief. I'm still in that weird. Let me play through Hard Space Shipbreaker. Let me play through Satisfactory, and let me play through the Dice and Spear program. So one of the things
Right.
I do want to just highlight really quick for Satisfactory is I've been playing this game for a while. It's in early access. Johnny and I are starting a new series Friday night, pending his impending doom of health. But one of the things I found out about it, so the way that this game worked before, if you started a multiplayer game, the only way that you could play that is if both of you were logged on. And that's not terribly unique to this, but it adds a layer of like, hey, I've got time that you don't have right now. I'm going to log on
Right.
and add things into it. Well, they added the ability to have a dedicated server, and there's a lot of places out there that
Oh, okay.
you can pay a monthly fee that has like 99% guaranteed uptime. They got FTP into it. You can load mods into it. They handle backups of your save files. So Johnny and I decided that if this is a series that we're going to be doing, and knowing our schedules are different, we're going to pay for some hosting. And we did this for Valheim when we were playing Valheim, and it worked out really well. You can have a backup of it that you put like this server backup onto it. So we've got that all set up for our show. We've got the plot laid down, and everything's kind of lined up for our first factory, which we'll kick that off on Friday night. So that's a really cool thing. But that's my like warm, cozy blanket gaming that I'm playing right now, like to help me get through the impending doom. Those are the games that are making my brain happy. But I did play two new games, and one of these games I am really excited to talk to you about. Actually, both of them I think are really cool, and both of them I think would make excellent quick looks. The first one
Okay.
is a game called Islanders. And Islanders, the easiest way I could pitch it to you, Chase, would be what if we took Dorf Romantic and
Hmm.
Townscaper and we made them one thing?
Yeah.
It's really cool. Have you seen this game before?
Yeah. I've talked about it on the show before.
You talked about Islanders?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. It was an indie world game on for
Have you
Nintendo
played
at
it?
one point, and I picked it up on the Switch.
Shit. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
sorry, man. If it wasn't anime, I don't
No,
remember.
you're fine.
Um,
Fair enough. I
uh,
mean, please talk about it. Like, I'm happy to talk about it more. I just
yeah,
it,
it's
like, have you heard about this game? I was like, yeah, this one that I've talked about
well,
like months ago.
I don't need
Sure,
to sell you on it. It's a really cool
yeah,
game.
it's pretty neat.
It's a minimalistic city builder and very minimal. There was a deep sale on this game recently on Steam, so I grabbed it there. I think I got this game for $2, and it's already like a $5 game. So when I say deep
Yeah,
sale, it's not a whole lot. But um, essentially, you have a progress bar that is filled by coins, and you acquire coins by placing different elements of a community in certain areas. And this can be lumberjacks, sawmills, it can be city centers, it can be a statue, it can be a brewery. and they all play off of one another in a way that would benefit you as the builder. And
Like every structure has like a radius around it,
like yeah,
and
yeah,
you want to place those structures where, or sometimes you're forced to place those structures in places where the radius will cover enough of the prerequisites. So, like you said, if you wanted to have like a sawmill, you need to have so many trees within that radius, within that sphere of influence, to be able to place that sawmill, or to get the maximum value out of that sawmill as you play.
and
But
sometimes
then
oh, go ahead.
go ahead. Well, the way that the game becomes more puzzly is that then you'll get items that say, well, you can't, like, it can't be next to these things now, or like you can't, or you'll lose points if
Yeah,
something is next to your sawmill, because that's not what would make for a good city. Like, that would be too much noise for like a residential area. You don't want to put that in that sphere of influence. So because the game is called Islanders, you're working on small pieces of land, islands. So you are limited in where you're able to place things. So it is kind of an efficiency
right.
puzzle as you build your city.
So I've found that there's really two things that you're managing. Well, three, I guess, if we're gonna be technical. Bottom left corner of your screen, you've got your readout. That's like, hey, you've got 750 of the 825 that will open up a choice for you and replenish what your tools are. So like if I chose farming, the last upgrade, now it's like, okay, you can choose parks or you can choose brewery. And I'm like, all right, well, I'll choose park, and that gives me a handful of things. And you've got like 3 or 2 of each of those items, and then once you use them, you're kind of out. Like that's the gimmick, right? Over on the right hand side of your screen, there is an island silhouette that's being filled up. And once you've done enough work on an island, you can click on that and just move away. So your score comes with you, but you leave behind never to see again the island that you were working on. And each island is a different type of biome to a degree, and it introduces some new concepts as far as like verticality, scale, placement. The one that I'm on right now has been my favorite, and my confidence is matching my execution here. And that is this is more like 5 or 6 micro islands that you get these docks that you put onto it. And when you put the dock on, that, depending on what you can get, is going to expand out for it. And I've been able to place things that, like, I've gotten, my strategy is now like, I can't put this house right next to it, but can I eclipse the bubbles of the houses?
Right.
And that strategy has been a lot of fun for me to do. This is a really, like, it's a very laid back game to it, and it's pretty forgiving. I mentioned Dorf Romantic earlier, which just got an update. Shout out to that team. They got a really
Oh,
cool.
nice.
It's got like snow now, and it looks beautiful. Like they've made like a winter
Ooh,
village, so worth checking out, I would say.
sure.
And then Townscaper was just more like kind of like unparalleled. Like you're just gonna sit down and make some cool shit. Um, this is a neat game. It sounds like it's on a few different platforms. I think you probably played this on Switch, if I had to guess. Right?
Yep.
Okay. Um, but yeah, Islanders is really fucking neat, and I've enjoyed. Like I don't have the energy to fire up hard space because I don't want to like go down that rabbit hole of breaking down like 3 ships tonight. But like I've got 15 minutes to kill. Let me plot some houses down and then move on. So it's a game that I think would be really good on a tablet. Not to go back to that, but like on mobile, and
Yeah.
it might be there.
And like you said, it's really cheap. It
Yeah.
starts at $5, and it seems like it's often on sale for much less. I think that's the same price it is on Switch.
Okay.
Because I remember it being like, oh well, this is so cheap, I'll just pick it up.
Well, yeah. Well,
Yeah,
that's in the queue
I think
for us to do a
it's
quick look for.
sure. I think it's worth some people's times.
A game that I remember seeing some time ago that I was like, this has a really cool look to it, and it just hit Game Pass. It's called The Pedestrian. Have you seen this
Yeah.
game? You haven't talked about this on a prior episode, have you?
I have not played this game, but I think we've talked about it in that. Hey, this thing looked really cool.
And you know what, Chase? It plays really cool as well.
Yeah,
This
I
is a
believe it.
game that I, I guess I don't want to call it like a diorama because it's not that, but it is a very like analog looking game that it's like hand drawn when you start off with a like a stick figure, and
Uh-huh.
then once you draw the stick figure you let them out into the real world, and they are interacting and moving about the real world through signs, like street signs that you would see. And
Yeah, like it's a 2D puzzle game, like
yes,
puzzle platformer game,
yes,
but all the puzzles take place on things in the real world. But like you said, it'll be like municipal signs, like a crosswalk, and you'll see that big yellow diamond sign. But then there will be like a puzzle in there that your little guy is walking through and solving. Or there'll be like a piece of paper that has like drifted, like a post-it note or something that's drifted, and it's just like laying on a sidewalk. And your next puzzle is in there, and then when you portal out of that and finish that puzzle, it takes you to the next sign that might be at a construction site or something like that.
one of the things that like crossed my mind when I was playing this was like, this is the stuff that happens in the real world when you're not paying attention. Like in my mind, I'm kind
Mm-hmm.
of like, oh, this stuff's just happening around me, which I thought was kind of a weird,
Yeah, it's like the Toy Story kind of
yeah,
thing.
yeah, like
Like, oh
there's,
yeah, stuff comes alive when I'm not looking at it.
yeah, like I'm not looking at my shelf, but there could totally be one of these characters like running around my shelf through the artwork, like painting to painting there. So I thought it was going to be pretty straightforward. With like, okay, you're just trying to like get from like one stop sign to a street crossing sign, but they add in some really cool mechanics when it comes to the puzzling with this game, and it's about like you press a button. So I'm playing this with a controller. You press
Mm-hmm.
Y, and then that brings up a cursor, and then you're interacting with the environment that your character's in. And so that could be, you've got like 3 or 4 signs that are lined up, and there's a series of doors, and there's like these half moons by each one of your segments that you have the ability to move around. But they're like, I'm gonna grab that half moon and connect it to another half moon, and then that makes a connection. So my quadrant, let's
Kind of
say,
like Portal in that way, where it's like,
very much
okay,
so.
this door now goes here now.
Yes.
But also, like weirdly, like after we were talking about Islanders, there's a radius to these things
Yeah.
where, and because you have so many signs, like your signs still have to fit in this space.
Yeah.
So to figure out ways of manipulating is like, okay, I think if I put this sign here, then I can actually connect that half moon to this other half moon
Yes.
down here, and
Yes.
that still leaves space for this big sign
Yeah.
that I would have to move another place or it wouldn't all fit.
I kept saying to myself when I was playing, I'm like, this is a pretty clever game. Like, this is a pretty
Yeah,
clever game. And so it introduces doors, but then it starts to bring in ladders, and your mind can't really comprehend at times. It's like, well, I'm going down the ladder in the top right, but I'm popping up in the bottom right corner. Like, it's weird shit that
sure.
happens like that. It's a neat game, man. Like, I think I kind of forgot about it coming out, and I believe it launched day and date on Game Pass. I don't know everywhere
I
that you can play this either.
I thought it was a PlayStation exclusive there for a bit.
Probably, maybe.
Maybe it had some timed exclusivity. Feel like it was shown on a Sony show at some point. I don't know.
It's really cool. I'm playing that on PC Game Pass and having a blast with it. I don't think it's a terribly long game, but it's got one of those like, wow, this is a really impressive thing to see executed, and probably a lot happening behind the scenes that I'm taking for granted with it. But the Pedestrian and Islanders alongside,
Apparently, it's on Switch. How about that?
kind of think you should check it out.
Yeah.
Islanders and Pedestrian, we'll definitely do a quick look for. We've got a planned quick look. So to recap the games that we talked about tonight, Banners of Ruin, we've got a quick look recorded, not edited or posted. More to come on that. Fantasian, we do have a quick look for. Go check that out. We played it on my iPad and we captured that. I talked a little bit about the update coming to Satisfactory with the servers. You'll be able to see that in action Friday night at 10:30 p.m. here on the Casual Hour. And then I talked about Islanders for the very first time on this show ever. Nobody's ever talked about it before me. I was definitely the
Never.
first.
Not once.
And then we talked about the Pedestrian, a really cool game that just hit Game Pass, and that's what we've currently been playing. But before we get too far ahead of ourselves here, let's take a minute to pass it over to Chase and have him walk us through what we got right or wrong about December of 2021.
Yeah, yeah. Let's get into this our monthly preview talk, and like you said, as always, we start with the previous month. Bobby, my picks for December of 2021. That was a whole year ago. Who could possibly blame me for having
Yeah,
good or bad taste at that point? I had Solar Ash, which I still have not finished that game, but I still really like it.
good
I think
game.
it was like my number 6
Good game.
game of the year. it just, God, it feels great. So I was pretty happy with that one. I had the Gunk, which did that quick look go up yesterday, or is that going up tomorrow?
That went up. The
Okay.
gunk is loose. The gunk is out there. You can be in the gunk.
I didn't I didn't I didn't love what I saw from the Gunk.
I like the gunk. I like the gunk.
Really?
I'm staying with the gunk.
Maybe you need to rewatch that quick look because you didn't seem to be down with the Gunk.
I was in a tough spot with that one. I thought that I was going to get us into something cool, but it was really like
Yeah.
a lot. Like that was the most gunk I'd ever been in.
Okay.
And post Gunk Fortress seems pretty all right.
Okay. If you're kind of turning the corner on it, I'm happier then. I know I saw Jeff Gersman of Giant Bomb playing some of the Gunk, and he was also not as enamored with it. And I was like, uh oh, is this just a miss? But to hear you say, "Hey, it might be okay," that makes me feel a little better.
I wouldn't move it to the front of my games to play right now, but it's a game
Yeah.
that I like that world quite a bit, and I like the writing for those characters quite a bit. And I
Yeah.
think visually it looks good. Like 4 or 5 hours too, I heard, to get through it. So that has me like
Okay.
maybe I will power through what I have got done so far. But I like the gunk on paper maybe more than I like the gunk in.
Yeah, I can believe that. Image and Form, who's now Thunderful or just
Yes.
part of Thunderful. I don't know exactly know how all that works. Uh, I love their games, but also I don't think they've made anything as good as SteamWorld Heist, and they really just need to make a second SteamWorld Heist.
So they've done Big
They've
2,
done
Quest.
they've done two SteamWorld Digs, Heist, Quest, and the Gunk, and they did a SteamWorld Tower Defense, but that was a DSiWare game that
Got it.
nobody remembers because it was
Okay.
on DSiWare.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah,
So yeah,
they're good devs. Those SteamWorld games are all pretty good. I think Quest is probably the weakest of all of them, but Heist is just the Heist is one of the best games ever made, in my opinion. Anyway, and then I also had Chorus. Chorus maybe because like
I don't know what's
this is
Chorus.
like one of those Bobby games that I just thought looked kind of good. And
I
you also had the Chorus,
I have
and you've been playing the Chorus.
Corvus.
Corvus.
I
How are you feeling about that game?
I still really like it a whole lot.
Yeah, good.
I think that had some of the best game feel of 2021, and I was pretty surprised. Like I thought it'd be a cool game, but I was actually pretty surprised by how much of a cool game that was. And it's made me want Everspace 2 to be out now, which hey, RIP forever. That was supposed to be out this month.
Hmm.
Whole another year pushback for that team. But good on
Yeah.
them. They're doing the right work. They're still doing their streams with it. But Chorus is a very good palate cleanser or an
Okay.
appetizer for that game.
I mean, if that gets a discount on PlayStation,
Sure.
I'll probably end up picking it up and giving
Yeah.
it a shot.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's what I had. I feel okay about my list. You, Bobby, also had Chorus and Gunk, and you also had Wolf Stride.
I picked it up. I haven't spent a lot of time with it, but I do have it,
Yeah.
and I need to set some time to
We
play
did
it.
a quick look of that when it was on the Steam Next Fest,
Yeah.
and man, it's got some really sharp visuals. I don't think I was really sold on the combat, but man, did I really appreciate what it was
I would
trying.
say the weakest parts of the game so far have been the combat. Everything around
Yeah,
it is really cool. Really cool.
yeah, it does look great. And then even though Johnny's not here, actually, especially since Johnny's not here to defend himself, we can make fun of his stuff. He also had the Gunk. He also had Solar Ash. And then he had Halo Infinite Baby, is what he wrote in all caps.
What does that even mean?
I'm pretty sure that game is broken or sucks. I don't know. That's what I heard from you at one point. So I'm just going to choose to
Hey,
believe
you know
that.
what? He's not here to defend himself. I'm gonna talk some shit. That was his game of the
Okay.
year. He talked all this about how great Halo is. Oh my god, it's the best it's ever been. Dude hasn't even fucking finished that camp. And I asked him about that. I'm like, I haven't heard you talk a lot about Halo, and that's not even been a month yet. Are you just done with it like everybody else I know is? Because nobody's talking about the game.
You talked a little too quietly at that point, and it didn't pick up on your mic. You talked so quietly.
I said nobody's been talking about the campaign anymore, which they haven't. Everybody's fucking shut up about it because it's the same
Well,
thing.
you can't replay the missions.
You can't replay the missions, and anyway.
I think that's something they're going to fix eventually. I think the thing that sucks the most is that the skulls in the game, like some of them are in parts of the game that you can't get back to because they're in like story missions. Like, well, holy shit! If you can't go back and get those skulls, then you're kind of just screwed. You have to start the game all over again if you want to get those skulls. That's ridiculous.
He's playing the multiplayer, which just got hey, if you buy this nail polish, you get a Master Chief skin.
Yeah, you get your fucking cat ears for Master Chief.
I don't know, man.
Whatever.
Like
I don't.
It's good. It's better than Halo has been. I'll say this much: like, I don't want to shit on it because I've enjoyed what I've done with it to a degree.
Sure, I'm sure mechanically it feels great,
but it doesn't need to like. It's not even really an open world game, and it shouldn't be titled as such. And having that build that way diminishes what it's trying to do because it seems so fucking barren. Like
right. Like it seems like it's trying to go in two different directions at the same time.
Yeah.
Like some of those things, it's like, they want to be beholden to Halo because it's Halo, and that's why people are coming to it.
Right.
And I get that you want to make a Halo game, but they also want to try making an open world game, and those two things don't always gel. And part of that is these missions that you can't replay, because that's what Halo is to me. Like the whole idea of Halo, because I played the multiplayer like at Halo 2 and Halo 3 time. Right. But for me, Halo is a game that you play single player or co-op, but you're playing the campaign. The campaign is so important, and it's something that you replay and you try on harder difficulties and you have a good time with. And making this open world and making this something that you can't replay easily just feels very un-Halo to me, and that's a bummer.
We've all given takes that like we regret. I will be the first to say like I've made some bad calls that are on air, like it's fucking in etched in stone.
Yeah.
But what I will say is this: those motherfuckers, and this is my take. Anybody listening and watching, here's my take: the motherfuckers that would talk shit as soon as they could. Oh, it's the Ubisoft Tower. Boy, they sure have those. Shut the fuck up when Halo came out real quick because they didn't want to have that conversation about, well, weren't you just dogging every Far Cry game that's been out for the last 7-8 years because your boy Master Chief is doing less than what those Far Cry games did, and you're sitting here talking shit about how old and stale those are. That game, Halo Infinite, in one hand feels like the most progressive Halo game you've ever played, but on the other hand, it also feels like a game that you would have been playing in 2010.
Yeah.
And it's like, which one is it? Because it's causing a lot of like confusion, I think, for people. Johnny, I love you, man. You picked the bad one.
And that's a game that's going to continue getting updates over time. Like it is called Infinite. They are looking to continue that story, and I'm sure they'll get it to a place that'll be interesting and cool. But for me right now, I'm still totally fine saying, if I want to play Halo, I'll go back and play a Bungie game. I'll go back and play Halo 1 or 2. And that is something we have, on our bucket list for casual hour of something we want to get done. Maybe this year, maybe over the course of this year, playing some of those old Bungie Halos and having a good time with really solid games. Anyway, let's move from bashing Johnny. We'll get back to it, I'm sure. And let's get into some free games right now. And
these are the free January games.
The free January James. Let's start with the Xbox and Xbox Games with Gold.
Yeah.
On Xbox One, this time I put usually in our little Dropbox note that we've got here, I'll just put the game names. And for a lot of these games with gold titles, I've never heard of these fucking games before.
Yeah.
So this time I decided to actually put in the little blurbs about them. So I might read some of those if it's a game that I truly don't know anything
I'd rather them just take the money and be like, hey, you know what? We're not going to give you these bullshit games. Here's a month of Game Pass, you dummy. Go play Game Pass.
Sure. We'll start with Neurovoider, which is a game I have never heard of before.
Sure.
It's available all of January 1st to the 31st. Set in a cybernetic world and featuring an original soundtrack from cyberpunk artist Dan Terminus. That's a pretty good cyberpunk artist name. Battle through hordes of vigilante robots using endless combinations of nuclear-powered weapons. Play co-op with up to 4 of your friends. Or rampage. Hey, when it says up to 4 of your friends, does that mean it has 5-player co-op? I bet it only has 4-player co-op, and that's just that's just me. Anyway, or rampage alone in this hack and slash twin stick shooter RPG. That sounds kind of interesting.
This sounds like The Ascent.
Yeah, but I think this is like I think you're in a ship though.
Oh, all right.
Maybe I'm wrong.
It's got
maybe I'm
look
wrong.
to it. It looks different.
Yeah?
It's got a...
Oh, if you're looking at it, then...
Yeah, it's got...
Maybe I need to start putting the links to the to these videos. Did I?
Yeah, you click on the name in the note.
Well, that's just a link to...
It's the Xbox...
To the Xbox store.
Yeah, they've got pictures of it.
Okay.
It looks good.
Yeah, okay. The next game is Aground. This is also for the Xbox One, and it'll work on your Series boxes as well. It's the middle of January to the middle of February, the 16th to the 15th. Aground, for humanity to survive and reach the stars, you'll need to craft and build. That sounds like Bobby already.
All right, go on.
Whether unlocking new technology, raising dragons, or launching into space, the sky is literally not the limit. Recover what was lost and rebuild everything. Okay.
Huh. This looks like
Seems like a...
It's like it's got more Terraria vibes than like other builders. 2D pixel art side scroller, kind of chunky pixels.
And then we get the 2 that I've heard of before, and I think are actually probably the most interesting ones of these. And they're both Xbox 360 games that are compatible with your Xbox One, which means they're also compatible with your Xbox Series X or S. The first one is Radiant Silvergun. That's available January 1st to the 15th. Okay. Restored by Treasure, the developer Treasure, the legendary vertical shooter returns with the same shoot-'em-up gameplay which made the original arcade version so famous. New additions such as the Ikaruga-style shooting mode help elevate the fun in this fantastic shooter. These shoot-'em-ups, these are always pretty just gorgeous. And I remember Radiant Silvergun looking pretty damn good back in the day.
Okay.
And then the last one is Space Invaders Infinity Gene. That is available January 16th to the 31st. The game that defined video games for generations is back with a new twist. Play a total of 143 stages, which evolve in both look and feel. The more you play, unlock new stages, new power-ups, and new features, all to imaginatively stunning visuals. I played this on a phone, and I remember it being really fun on that phone. And in fact, when I got this iPad, I was like, oh, let's go and download all the old games that I had. And that game, sadly, never got a 64-bit version or whatever it was that I needed for to keep playing it on new hardware. So I don't know. I can barely remember anything about Space Invaders Infinity Gene. I just remember having a good time with it.
Interesting.
So yeah, you can play it on your Xbox now.
Okay.
So, I remember it being really cool and like a really different take on Space Invaders, which is interesting because there have already been other games that have been interesting takes on Space Invaders. I think about the DS game Space Invaders Extreme, which is also a really cool version of Space Invaders. It might be worth checking out.
Again, these are cool.
Mm-hmm.
Just get Game Pass. Just if you don't have Game Pass, get fucking Game Pass.
Yeah, I almost feel like Game Pass has made Games with Gold pointless. Well, now Microsoft doesn't have to care about it, so we're just kind of getting these scrub games. Because then I look at PS Plus, and we're about to here, and I go, wow, this is some quality. Like, this is not necessarily the best games, but at least they got names.
They definitely
got some name quality to them. So we'll start for PlayStation 5 and PlayStation 4. You'll get both versions, depending on what you have. Deep Rock Galactic.
Ooh.
Apparently, that game is bad. I don't know.
No.
I've heard people say that game is bad.
We I didn't put it on what I've been playing, but Johnny and I actually fired this up since the big content update where they added a new enemy type and new weapon types,
Yeah.
and it's very good. We talked about a segment
Okay.
where we each ate an edible and played this and called it Rock and Stoned, and
Jesus Christ.
that may or may not happen in the future. So we'll talk more about
All
that.
right. Hearing how much you guys have actually gushed about the game, and being that it would be free on PlayStation
God damn it,
at
Chase,
this
you gotta
point.
pick it up, man.
Well, if I pick it up, it's not like it's crossplay, so
Well, I'll play it with you. I won't have everything unlocked.
yeah, exactly. You're gonna restart the game from scratch. That doesn't sound very fun for you.
If it means getting you to play what I consider to be one of the best multiplayer games out there, then yeah. Like I think Deep Rock Galactic is absolutely one of the best multiplayer experiences you can have. And it's on Game Pass.
Okay.
It's on now PlayStation
On Game Pass,
Plus.
now it's on PlayStation Plus. This is actually the first time this game is
came out.
coming to PlayStation platforms, and it's free.
If you're looking for something that would scratch an itch for Minecraft or even like a shooter, this is that. Like, and you're not really crafting. You are doing some light mining, but holy cow, man! It's like horde fights, up to 4 people, 4 different classes, really cool customization stuff, skill trees. Like, it's a fucking great game, and to see it on these free services, like, this is an absolute, like, hey, what can I do to hang out with my friends? It's a really great way to do that. Deep Rock Galactic is such a huge win for that service.
All right. Also, PS4 and PS5, Dirt 5. I've played a Dirt game in the past. I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah,
it's not my
solid.
favorite racing franchise. Forza Horizon still exists. So, but Dirt 5 is doing something a little bit different, and I've enjoyed the Dirt games. So I've actually picked that one up already. I've downloaded it to my PS5, and I'll try that one a little bit later. And then PS4 only, although you can still get it on your PS5. It's just going to be the PS4 version because that's the only one there is. Persona 5 Strikers, which I don't think is very.
I hear if you put
good.
the more time you put in with that game, the better it gets.
That's what I hear, and I am actually really interested in the story stuff. It does turn into like a road trip eventually, and I think that seems really cool. This is a Dynasty Warriors style game. It is made by Omega Force and the Koei Tecmo.
Yeah,
I
bounce
don't.
off of it
I like Dynasty Warriors games. I am that guy, and I did not like the way the mechanics function in this. I don't think it has a very good way to dodge away from enemy moves.
Yep.
And that was one of the big painful things to me.
Pretty lit down, man, thinking that I was gonna bounce back from my high with Hyrule Warriors, Age of Calamity, and be like, oh, I'm a Warriors fan now, and then come into Strikers, which I love Persona 5. And I was like, fuck, man, this is not what I was hoping for.
And it's a bummer because they got the characters back, they got the voices back. It's similar to Persona 4 Dancing All Night, which I really liked, that has that like remembers that the story happened in the RPG game, and is now like a sequel to that, and is doing new things, and the characters have remembered their growth and didn't just go back to being the stereotypes they were at the beginning of the game. It's just not very fun to play, in my opinion, and it's been really tough to go back to. And I think what I really want to do is just play Persona 5 Royal. And
I do too, man. I do too. I'm hoping that we get. I should just play that game.
Yeah, I feel like that's going to come to the Switch at some point this year. I think Sega has mentioned, like, hey, we need to get more Persona out on more stuff.
Yep.
And I'm crossing my fingers, but I hope that means we're going to put Persona 3, 4, and 5 Royal, hopefully, and 4 Golden, hopefully, on the Switch. So we'll see.
So that was
anyway,
the PS Plus lineup, right? Deep Rock Galactic.
Yeah, that's your games with gold, your PS Plus.
Okay.
And I'm going to throw it back over to you, Bobby, because you're the Game Pass man, and you're going to tell us what's new on Game Pass this month.
Game Pass is off to a huge start for 2022. I think the name is pronounced Gorogoa, and I've seen a lot of really cool stuff for this puzzle game. People are obsessed with this one, and Had my eye on it for a while. I've almost got it on my iPad a couple times, but it's on Game Pass. I have it downloaded. Hoping to take a look at that here very soon.
Mhm.
Elysia, or Elysia, however you want to pronounce that.
I think it's Oliha.
Elysia is a game
Yeah.
that Chase and I were pretty hot on when we first checked it out. It's got some incredible mechanics for being a pixel-based game. Pretty brooding story. It's pretty dark in tone, but it's really
Mhm.
fucking cool. Like you should check that game out. It's on Game Pass now. Not a reason not to. The game I
Yeah.
talked about earlier tonight called The Pedestrian. That's out. And it just came out tonight, actually, a day early. But a game called Ember, and I got this downloaded. This looks like totally reliable delivery service meets some sort of version of like a Left 4 Dead, but fighting fire. So you're going into houses and fighting fires with a group of up to 4. It looks like dumb fun, and I think that could be a really good time. So that's available right now.
Hey, Bobby, bump up your sound just a touch.
My sound?
Yep, according to the chat, you're a little low.
Oh, my audio's a little low. Interesting. How about now?
Mhm.
And Jedi, thank you. Hopefully that's coming through loud and clear. Let me know if it's not. Much better. Okay.
Cool. All right.
We've also got Mass Effect Legendary Edition coming to Xbox Game Pass, which is really cool. All 3 games included in that. That update's pretty good. Those look solid.
Did you actually end up playing those at all?
Yeah, I'm about halfway through Mass Effect right now.
Okay.
The
best one.
2's the best one. The best one's 2. Outer Wilds is back. I don't believe that this includes the DLC that just came out, but Outer Wilds is back on Game Pass. You can play that. Very cool game. Another cool game, Spelunky 2. That I've been eyeballing for some time, so I will be downloading that January 13th. And the Anacrusis is coming out on the 13th, and we'll talk a bit more about that here in just a little bit. But that's your Game Pass lineup. Very solid month so far. Also, congratulations to the social media team for Game Pass. They've done a lot of fun stuff, and they just hit 1 million followers today and had a really fun meta announcement around that. So pretty big deal for them. And
a meta announcement, like their Facebook integration.
That's it. And that covers our freebies for January 2022. Chase, back to you to take us through the lineup of this month. Again, not every game, but most of them.
Not every game. And also, January's a little thin. Not a ton coming out. I'm sure everybody's rushing to get their holiday stuff out, and then we're just kind of in a bit of a doldrums until stuff pops back up. But there is some stuff that's
Next
kind
month,
of interesting.
Though, buckle up.
Hey, February could be better. We'll see. Anyway, we did mention Deep Rock Galactic. That game is coming out on PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 on the 4th. I guess it's already out at this point. So you can go play those. Like I said, it's on PS Plus this month, so have at it for free.
Very good.
On the 6th, which is tomorrow or yesterday if you're listening to the archive, Dead Cells, The Queen and the Sea DLC is coming out. You can get this. It's coming out wherever Dead Cells is sold. It's on pretty much everything at this point.
I've been playing this. I haven't talked about it here on the show, but
I didn't think you liked Dead Cells. Didn't you hate Dead Cells?
I didn't hate it, but I also have changed my understanding.
Oh, that's true. You have better taste now.
And so I was like, you know what? I've got this nice iPad over here, and I've got a really good controller for my iPad. This is on iOS. Why don't you check it out there? And I've been playing through this on my iPad, and I'm curious if this will be like an in-app purchase for this DLC.
I imagine so. Yeah. I actually haven't played Dead Cells in quite a while. I really liked it and had a really good time with it when it first came out. I think I went back to it when that first DLC was that the Giants, something with Giants in it DLC. I have not played any of the other DLCs, and apparently they've put out a decent amount of them. There is a bundle out on Switch if you just want to buy all of it at once, and I think that bundle's on some other platforms as well.
Awesome.
But I can tell you for this DLC, it has a couple of new areas, new later game areas. including the infested shipwreck and the lighthouse.
Okay.
And there also appears to be a shark that you can swing around as a weapon and then also throw it as a weapon, and that looks pretty fucking cool. So maybe I need to play Dead Cells again.
Yeah. Why wouldn't you if you could do those things?
Yeah, yeah, that seems pretty rad. We can just skip over the 12th. There's some Monster Hunter
Oh
Rise things
yeah.
coming out for PC. No big deal. Nobody cares,
I
right?
so I really liked Rise and I had a good time playing this on the Switch, but
But you
the
do hate the Switch.
I do hate the Switch. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
The demo was out. Like they did the same demo that they had on the Switch for PC, and it is a noticeable improvement on how that game
Sure,
performs
of
and looks,
course.
which you would expect. It's not to shit on the Switch because it was a feat in itself to get this on the Switch when it came out. But yeah, I am absolutely going to put more time into that game on PC. I cannot wait. And I bounced off of it immediately when I heard that it was coming to the PC. They don't talk about it here, but there's also DLC coming out, which we'll talk about later in the summer. But some pretty big updates, like a massive expansion coming out for that game that'll be on both platforms. But yeah, I'm very. I know Johnny's picking this up. My cousin Jason's grabbing it. So the only saving grace you have, Chase, is that there's so many games in February that we'll probably only talk about this for like a week before you have to stop hearing about it.
Yeah, and also that game came out in 2021, so it's ineligible for many of our Game of the
Yep.
Year awards for this year, which means I won't have to hear about it in December either, which is great. Love it.
Win.
The next day, on the 13th, Astroneer is getting ported to the Nintendo Switch.
What a game.
Astroneer is a game I've had my eye on for a long time. It looks cool. It looks like a hell of a lot of fun. I am not like Bobby. I am not one of these guys who likes the builder genre kind of game. But for whatever reason, I kind of dig it here. I think what they have going on is really interesting. And it's been cool to watch this game develop through early access on the PC side.
Crazy
I don't
story
know
about how this game came to be too.
Sure, yeah.
Um,
You're not going to tell the story?
no, it's a long. There's
Okay.
there's a no clip I believe out there that does a pretty impressive job. There's a lot of tragedy that happened in the midst of making this game, and it's kind of crazy that it actually happened. And it's very cool. It's a very cool game.
Yeah. It's one I've kind of, like I said, I've been keeping an eye on. Switch is definitely my preferred platform, but also as you may have heard earlier with something like Banners of Ruin, Switch ports aren't always the best. And I'm a little worried how a game like this would, one, perform on Switch, and two, just how it would control on Switch.
Yeah.
So part of me is wondering if this is the time for me to jump in, or whether I wait for Steam Deck and then play that version. I know that Bobby likes this game and he's playing it on the PC, so it doesn't have crossplay. It does have crossplay from the Xbox to the PC, but not through a Switch to the PC. So maybe it's something I'll wait on. Maybe it's just something I'll wait to see if people say it's whether the Switch version is good or not before I jump in. But Astroneer is something I would like to play at some point in 2022.
It would be
it just depends on what platform it is.
For Casual Monday.
Sure, absolutely. Bobby, you mentioned the Anacrusis, which is coming out on January 13th, coming to PC and Xbox. You said it's on Game Pass, I believe.
Day and date.
What is the Anacrusis?
The Anacrusis has the DNA of Left 4 Dead, but in space. And it's got like a real mod kind of 60s vibe to it, akin to like a Deathloop. 4-player co-op PvE, and it is like Danger Will Robinson, like you're fighting robots and shit like that. It had a pretty strong showing when I saw the trailer for it at, I think it was E3. And it was shown at Microsoft's press conference, and I believe it is exclusive to PC and Xbox. A few friends of the show over at Giant Bomb talked about it not that long ago, and they said that they had a pretty all right time playing through this with some people. And I really dig the look of the game. I think that's got a pretty awesome vibe to it. I am excited to have this on Game Pass, so like I won't have to convince people to like pick it up and play it with me, because I think that's the best way to play one of these. But I'm pretty into what they're doing, and I can't wait to check it out.
All right, sounds good. The next day, January 14th, we are getting God of War for the PC. It's, this is the time that we're going to see just a lot of words, because those are pretty easy things to do, at least for January.
Yeah.
What more do you need to say about God of War?
I
It's
don't
there.
know.
It's fine. It probably looks better on PC.
Yeah, that PS5 version of it looks really fucking good though. Like, I'm not saying that it's
Yeah.
gonna, like, the PC version's doing some really impressive things from textures and DLSS and all that shit, but it's $40. I can, again, I know that there's some pretty big games in February coming out. You all don't know that yet. You're not on the insider track like we are here at
No,
the Casual Hour.
nobody's ever heard about February games yet. We're in January.
But there's a $10 off coupon on Epic where I could grab this. I just don't see myself playing through this game again.
Yeah.
And if
You are pretty excited for Ragnarok, though, right?
Oh, I'm very excited for it. It's not that I don't want to play this game. Like, I think I love this game, but I've got a PlayStation 5 that I don't use all that often as it is. So if I really needed to scratch the itch of God of War, I've already got this game. I could do a new game plus, which is probably the way that I'd want to play it, truth be told. And it would give me a reason to fire it up and see those new enhancements on there. But if I'm call it buyer beware, all right? But Horizon, pretty rough launch. Same for Final Fantasy VII remake that's on PC, pretty rough launch. And they come around, they fix it. Like, Horizon is absolutely a must play on PC if you don't have an opportunity to play it anywhere else. I just don't know if I need to get this day and date in February or in January, especially knowing it's in February.
And I think that's the big thing. Like, there's a classic gamer out there who does not own a PlayStation, didn't own a PlayStation 4, doesn't own a PlayStation 5 now, does own a PC, and if they want to see what that hotness from Sony looks like, they've had to wait for a while, but now they can try it out and see what it's like. And Sony, for their part, or whoever Sony is contracting to get these ports out, they're still learning how to do that and getting it over there. So it doesn't surprise me that these kind of ship a little bit broken, but it is nice to hear that they have a track record of fixing these eventually. So,
Absolutely.
good stuff. On the 20th of January, we are getting Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Extraction. This I believe is just like we've heard about this game before. It's like a co-op-y version, like more story-based version of Siege, right? That's like zombie stuff, and not exactly horde mode, but it's the same kind of thing. Like, you have your operators, and you customize your operators with different class kind of things, and the whole idea is that it's more of like a PvE thing than it is the way that Siege is PvP.
So something we didn't talk about earlier, because I was waiting for this, is it just came out today that the Ubisoft Plus service is coming to Xbox. And they haven't confirmed if that's going to be baked into Game Pass, and if it is baked into Game Pass, will it come to PC as well? But they did, however, announce that this game that we're looking at is going to be launching day and date on Game Pass. And so
it's launching on a lot of shit too. It's PC, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series X, and even Stadia, which I don't think anybody knows what that is, but that will continue to be my favorite joke. But it's there. I guess if people
I think it has crossplay also. If it's on those services for free, I will probably check this out and see what it's all about. I'm a sucker for PvE games in a world that's surrounded by PvP. Like, I will always make an effort to check out a PvE game. And this is no exception. So I will be checking.
And I'm sure the mechanics are going to be solid, because it's just built right on top of Siege, which people really like. Like, that game, I think, has surprisingly built an esports following around it.
Yep.
That's apparently really solid. I know people have gotten way into that game.
Yep.
So cool that they're continuing to kind of build on it with this kind of single player side thing. But this is a standalone release. You don't have to have
Yeah. This
Siege.
is its own
It's
thing.
not DLC. This is its own thing.
Totally.
Moving on, Bobby, this is crazy. There are 2 Stadia games coming out in the same day.
What?
I know. Who could possibly imagine? Also on the 20th, we are getting Windjammers 2 for the PC, Switch, PS4, Xbox One, and Stadia.
Did you play the first one?
So I've played the first one. I don't own the first one. I played the first one at a PAX.
Did you like it?
Yeah, I mean, I've watched people play this game. I thought it was really cool. The first Windjammers was a 1994 arcade game. I think most of us probably know it, especially in the West. We probably know it because Jeff Gerstmann really likes it and played it on Giant Bomb quite a bit.
Yeah.
And riled people up to go, what the fuck is this game? How do I play it? It was on the Wii Virtual Console for a little bit, but then Data East, who was the rights holder, they died, which meant that the game had to get pulled off of a Virtual Console because they didn't know where to send the money to at that point.
Oh boy.
Which just made things even worse. Like, how do people play this game? The rights were kind of weird. They bounced around for a bit, and eventually they popped over to .emu, who is now playing, or now ported the game to PS4 and Vita in 2017, and then to the Switch in 2018. I didn't buy any of those versions. That's the versions that I played at PAX, but I didn't buy any of those versions because it's an arcade game, and it's something that's really fun to play multiplayer. And I don't want to play online and just get crushed by people who really know what they're doing. I want to play it with people I know
that you can beat,
and
sure,
that I could at least stand a chance at. Yes, but yes, probably beat. But unfortunately, like, I don't have that group of friends that gets together, at a single house and plays games like Windjammers or what's the fencing game?
Genital jousting.
No. When you're like the silhouette guys and you're.
Oh, god damn it, Chase.
Yeah, that's gonna burn me for quite a bit.
Damn it.
I'll remember at some point and just scream it out. Anyway, that's the problem I have with those games. Is like they're fantastic games. Samurai Gun is another kind of one of those kinds of games.
Right.
Even something like Gang Beasts. That's the other one I'm thinking of. Even something like Gang Beasts is like not something. It's like that's not a game I'm going to purchase because I just am not going to have many opportunities to play that with people because I don't do enough couch competitive kind of stuff.
Right.
But I really respect the hell out of them, and I like watching other people play them. And that was kind of my feeling with Windjammers 1. And I think that's probably going to be my feeling with Windjammers 2. This game looks fine. It's pretty.
Yeah, it's got a good look to it.
I still think I prefer the pixels over this kind of like cleaner. I wouldn't call it Flash, but it is definitely dark outlines.
Yeah,
it looks good. It looks fine. It looks like they're adding some new mechanics. I'm sure there will be like a small esports scene that jumps around this. Apparently, the French are way into Windjammers, and that's probably also where some of this came back from. There was still a hardcore French group of players who wanted the first game, and I think .emu is French. They're European at the very least. So I think they saw that and kind of jumped on that opportunity. Anyway, I probably won't be purchasing Windjammers 2, but I do think it'll probably be pretty cool.
Yeah, for sure.
Moving on to the 27th of January, we are getting Gunvolt Chronicles Luminous Avenger IX2.
This stupid video is gonna it's gonna get us flagged. I just know anytime you put this anime bullshit on our preview,
it does seem pretty anime.
Somebody's always like, "Hey, you fucker, you can't monetize this." Oh, okay.
This is coming out for PC, Switch, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, and Xbox Series X. As you can see, it's kind of like a Mega Man game. I would say it's actually closer to like the Mega Man Zero games that run Game Boy Advance.
This is anime as fuck, Chase.
It really is. Friend of the show, Jiggy-san, is a big fan of the Gunvolt series. I have never played a Gunvolt game, but because I just am not the biggest Mega Man fan, uh, but it does look really anime, and
It's
that's
anime
something
shit.
that's something that kind of interests me. I just don't think I'd really like playing it. But for those of you who do like
You
these
don't want
kinds
to
of
play it.
games,
You just think they're neat.
I do just think they're neat. I would like to watch. I would watch an anime of Gunvolt before I would probably
Same.
play a Gunvolt game. But does seem kind of cool.
Awesome.
Moving on to what probably is the biggest release of January, and
Yeah.
that is on the 28th, and that's Pokemon Legends Arceus coming to the Nintendo Switch.
Hmm.
Um,
Man,
I yeah, go ahead.
I don't know if it's just you and Johnny,
Uh huh.
but when this first got announced, I was at a pretty high on it. And I don't know if
Mm-hmm.
it's just me trying to like set myself up for a good time here, but I feel like with each passing month leading up to this, I've just been more and more concerned and like, is this gonna be a thing that I like or prob not? And I think it's
Yeah,
prob not.
I'm feeling very similarly at this point.
And
I still don't really know what this game is.
yeah,
It does from the trailers, it does appear that there is turn-based Pokemon style combat. Your Pokemon gets 4 moves, and you can just use it out there. But also, it looks like there's somewhat of an action element to it, and that you are like almost like a Monster Hunter element to it, where these big Pokemon are attacking you as the player, and you can dodge out of the way, and you can throw Pokeballs at them without having to
this is
battle them
a
first.
prequel, so to speak, right?
I, well, yeah, that part I think is actually the most interesting. This idea
Yeah.
that it's in Sinnoh, the Gen 4, the Diamond and Pearl land, but it's like an ancient Sinnoh, and you're actually getting to see these
At least they got the character design right.
apparently old versions, these different versions, these Hisuian versions of something like Growlithe or Basculin. Um, I, there's parts of it that look really cool, but it also looks a little barren.
Mhm.
Uh, and I don't know if I trust Game Freak to make something that's not a traditional Pokemon game at this point.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel
And I
like
and I kind of barely trust them to make a traditional Pokemon game at this point too.
so I find it interesting the proximity to their last release for the Switch as well because that was what last month that game came out. November. It
The
was November.
Yeah, I think it was November. Yeah.
But still, like 2 months between Pokemon releases is kind of unheard of. And
Yeah, but that's all. Those are two different teams
sure,
within the Pokemon company, within Game Freak. What they do a lot is they'll put like a team of relatively inexperienced developers on the remake because
yeah,
hey, you have the original games to go off. You're not having to build something entirely new. So I think we're getting the A team here who's making this thing. I still just I'm not sold on what it is right now. And maybe it comes out and it blows me away, but at the moment I'm kind of
I'm
just
with you, man.
cautious. I'm
Yeah,
just being kind of
I want it
cautious.
to be good. I really do, but we'll see.
And and I mean this isn't exactly fair, but I didn't love the new Pokemon Snap either.
Yeah,
That was also kind of a bummer, which just kind of makes me worried about Pokemon games in general. And even though we liked Pokemon Sword and Shield in the moment, I think we had a really great time as we played through those games originally. I feel like the more we've sat with them, especially when those DLCs came out, we've been pretty down on this latest generation of Pokemon, and I find myself I still love Pokemon for sure. It's probably still my favorite franchise in terms of putting everything together, but I'm more excited to go play weird Pokemon ROM hacks of
dude,
something that
I'm
somebody
with
just hacked Fire Red with instead of playing the brand new game on a Switch, and that feels weird to me.
I. I think that Temtem does so
Sure.
much better than what I've experienced in modern Pokemon games, from quality of life to innovative like approaches to like 2v2 stuff. I like that it's a very vibrant feeling world. Like Pokemon always felt pretty isolating for being this big adventure that you're on. And I like that Temtem, it's not like gross with like MMO stuff, but there's enough
Mhm.
occupancy in those worlds that make them feel more lived in by people that are doing the same shit you are, which is really cool. But
And we definitely are getting to a point where, my generation who grew up with the original Red and Blue, who feels very defined by those games and this franchise. Like those people are old enough now where they're in the games industry and they're making games and they're probably directors of games at this point. And that's why I think a lot of these Pokemon clones that we're getting now are really good. You had a lot
yeah,
of Pokemon clones in the past when it was just, hey, this is the fad and everybody needs to try making their own. But now I think we're getting to a point where people are like, yeah, I've played a lot of Pokemon games, and I think I can do it better, or at least
yep,
do it in a different, interesting way. And that's how you're getting Temtem. That's how you're getting Ooblets. I don't think they're the best games, but even something like Nexomon is like, hey, here's our kind of take on Pokemon, and we're doing something a little bit different. I even think the Digimon games have been pretty good recently. Cyber Sleuth and Cyber Sleuth
yeah,
2, Hacker's Memory, like those games, I think are pretty good takes on the Pokemon genre
yeah,
without falling into the pitfalls that Pokemon constantly falls into because it has to be beholden to all of its old mechanics.
yeah.
Yeah, well, so we'll see. I don't have the super high hopes on Arceus that I think I did when I first saw it, but I'm interested in hearing.
Yeah, totally.
I also think that Growlithe is really cute.
That Growlithe is very good. If anything, we'll have a cute Growlithe.
Yeah.
Bring us
One
home
last
here.
thing. One last game here. Also on the 28th, Uncharted Legacy of Thieves Collection is coming to PS5. This is Uncharted 4 and Uncharted Lost Legacy put together in a combination. So now, if you got the what was it called, like the Nathan Drake collection, and this Legacy of Thieves collection, you could have all five Uncharted games in those two packages. I still have never played an Uncharted game. How about you?
I've played every one except for the what's it called? Legacy of no. What's the
The Lost Legacy. Lost Legacy.
I have not played Lost Legacy, but I've played every one of those up to that point.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're a fan of the series? Then? You like it?
I like. Yeah, I will say I like they're good games. I think four was fine. It just felt like more Uncharted versus like new Uncharted. And personally, just me, I think that those first two rebooted Tomb Raiders are better
Mm,
games than any of these Uncharted games are.
that's interesting.
Mhm.
I've never played any of the Uncharted games. I've never really enjoyed the Tomb Raider games, which I know these are kind of pulling from. And I know this is blasphemous, but I've never really cared about Indiana Jones either. So like this whole I think I've talked about this on the show before, but this whole kind of adventure raiding tomb stuff is not my
Yeah,
thing.
they're
So
fine,
just none of
man.
these things
Last of Us is a
catch me.
much better series in my opinion.
I mean, yeah, I guess I'd agree, but also I just don't know because I haven't played the Uncharted games. What have you thought about the Uncharted movie trailer though? Any thoughts on that?
You know what? It looks fine. I think
Mm,
that they're maybe going the wrong direction with the casting. It's not what I anticipated them to do. Like Nathan Drake
it-
appears to be pretty damn young in this movie.
yeah, I mean they're going for an origin story, which I guess is fine, but I think what you really needed to do is like right now you have Tom Holland as Nathan Drake and you have Mark Wahlberg as Sully,
Yeah.
and I think you really need to like shift that and have Wahlberg be Nathan Drake, and then have somebody like Bruce Campbell be Sully. Like that's what you
Dude,
need.
give
Like
me a
that's
Nathan
that's what we're
Fillion
looking
and a
for.
Bruce Campbell.
Sure, I'm not the biggest Nathan Fillion fan, but I understand he would do well in this kind of role.
But yeah, I think Sony was like, hey, we got that Tom Holland kid in our pocket.
Sure, I mean, if you got the Spider-Man, you put the Spider-Man in it. Yeah. I don't know. We'll see.
But dude, the other thing too is like, again, who fucking cares at the end of the day? But the Tom Holland and the people that are super into Tom Holland, like Uncharted peaked, what, 10, 12 years ago? Maybe longer?
Sure.
And so you're cribbing on this franchise with people that like you're hoping just go to it because of Tom Holland, which I get.
Well, I think anybody who cares about Uncharted is probably just going to see the movie anyway, so they already have those people.
Right.
For everyone else, what I hope they do is they kind of forget that it's an Uncharted game. Yeah, this guy, Uncharted movie. Like, yeah, this guy is called Nathan Drake. He's searching for, what's his ancestor? Francis Drake. Yeah. He's looking for that treasure. Isn't that what the whole series is about? Like, you can just start that and then forget everything else that happens in the actual games, and just all you have to tell your mainstream movie-going audience who doesn't know what the fuck Uncharted is, hey, we're making an Indiana Jones kind of film. That's all you need to know.
Yeah.
And we got the Spider-Man in it. Like,
I put this
that's
on in front of Sarah,
what
my wife, who loves Indiana Jones, loves National Treasure, and really digs Tom Holland as Spider-Man. And she's like, this looks like a ton of fun. I'm like,
yeah.
Let me tell you something. It's a video game movie. And she's like, oh, okay, cool.
And she doesn't have any of the baggage from that. And neither does most of what I imagine the audience for this film will be.
Right.
So that's why I think if you're going to make a successful film out of this, you have to forget that there's a video game story here. Like, just let some screenwriter write whatever the fuck they want, and let your Sony fanboys go, oh, it wasn't exactly like that in the game, because fuck them.
All these
Because that makes up like a fraction of who matters.
Who might be upset about Tom Holland. We were probably this close. We were probably that close.
Yeah.
Chris Pratt, Nathan Drake. And you know it. I know it. So count your lucky stars that it's not Mario himself dangling from a rope.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Let's wrap this up, Bobby. We need to make some picks. My picks are Astroneer, I guess, if it runs well on Switch, and I guess Pokemon, but I'm going to be playing... Here's what I'm actually going to be doing. I'm going to be playing Fantasian on my iPad. I'm going to be playing my Analog Pocket. I'm going to be playing a lot of Super Robot Wars 30. I'm not really going to give a fuck about anything that comes out here in January. So these picks are more of kind of like me trying to throw a bone to this dry, barren-ass desert that is January. Yeah, Bobby, what about you?
Monster Hunter Rise, which is a known quantity, so I feel like I'm just getting to play that game the way I want to now. But the Anacrusis, I think, looks really cool. And I'm going to get Pokemon. Like, there's no getting around it. I'm going to check that out. Unless, like, leading up to... I'm not going to pre-order that game. But
progress.
But leading up to its release, like, if there's just like hey, this is pretty fucking rough, I might say, you know what? Like, I'll use this time to get caught up on other things. And do that. So at this moment in time, I plan on picking that up. But we'll see.
Okay. And then Johnny did write his picks down. He also had Pokemon Arceus. He has Monster Hunter Rise, and he has the Dead Cells DLC, which I think is probably a good call. I bet that'll be fun.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Anyway, Bobby, I think that's all we got.
Nice job, man.
Yeah,
per usual.
Appreciate it.
Not surprised at all. You do a fantastic job with that. Thank you for putting that note together. I really love these episodes. It's one of my favorite things that we do here on the show. So nice job.
It's a fun thing to do.
So let's talk about the week, right? We've had some big things happen so far. Monday, you and I played Inscription. Didn't do as hot as I wanted to. I played that a little too loose and fast, but I was, we
had a fun time anyway.
We had a good time hanging out with our friends and each other. Tuesday, we put up the gunk. We talked about that earlier tonight. Go check that quick look out, youtube.com/casual hour, or you can follow along in our show notes and or chat. Today, we talked about all those games come out in January. tomorrow, we've got kind of a tribute, so to speak, with the Analog Pocket, where it's hard. It's like a quick look, but also kind of like a sneak peek type thing. Like, hey, we're going to take a look at some hardware. It's not like any other quick look we've done.
Yeah, it's kind of like 3 quick looks in one, but also kind of none because we didn't play any of those games for very long. Yeah, it's just like a little showcase of what an Analog Pocket can be.
Yep, and I'm sure if you like that quick look, there'll be something a little bit more savory over on the Gamers on the Go front later on down the line. So that'll be live tomorrow on YouTube at 9 a.m. Central. And Friday night, I am so fucking excited. God, Chase, I am so excited. We got a whole new series called Unsatisfactory launching here on the Casual Hour for a recently rebranded Casual Fridays, where Johnny and I are going to be building a factory in Satisfactory. I think you might pop up and chat a little bit and tease us.
Yeah. This is all assuming that Johnny is healthy by Friday.
Hey, I got news for y'all. If Johnny is sick, I'm playing that game without him. We're playing.
He's sick. I might play something with you.
Well, hey, that would be great too. We could actually let's make that happen. If Johnny's sick, I guess you'll just have to buy Tim and play Tim with me. I didn't say that out loud, did I? I did.
We've got plenty of games that we can play.
We do. We've got
Johnny doesn't show
a lot of fun stuff.
I'm looking forward to Unsatisfactory. I hope he's well enough to make that happen because I think that'd be a fun show.
Yeah, totally. So we've got, like I mentioned, we've got a good start for the factory, and we're gonna see where that game goes. Chase, we've been teasing a lot of stuff for you tonight because 2022 seems to be the year for handheld gaming. Why don't you tell everybody why that's important to you?
Yeah, I mean, I have a podcast that I do. Some might say I don't do it because I haven't done one since October. But I'm looking forward to coming back to Gamers on the Go, my podcast exclusively about handheld video gaming. I know that Johnny and I, at some point in this month, are going to record an episode on our new Analog Pockets and talk about them, and probably also talk about a couple of original Game Boy games to kind of frame our discussions around. So look forward to that. That'll be on gamersonthego.com, GOTG Podcast on Twitter. Also, I've got a YouTube channel at ChasyK Plays on Twitter. You can search for ChasyK Plays on YouTube or just click on it in the chat right there. Where Johnny and I have been going through the new Pokemon remakes, Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl.
And we're doing our first series. Really fucking cool
we're doing our first ever Nuzlocke, which is a more challenging way to play Pokemon, and it's been really fun so far. I think we have 5 episodes out right now, and our 6th one comes out this Saturday.
Oh yeah, that's great.
So good stuff all around. Let me be sure on that. Yes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, 6 comes out on Saturday. So that'll be really fun. Looking forward to playing more of that with Johnny. Nuzlocks are something I would never do on my own, but having it be something that I record and have a witness there in Johnny to kind of bounce ideas off of, and also just to watch me try to play that game well, has been a good time. So go check that out, and we'll keep making it.
Absolutely. Next week we'll have some more fun stuff. Chase and I are brewing up some series for ourselves for Casual Mondays where we'll be getting together. I can tell you right now that Johnny and I are probably going to do minimum two streams, maybe 3 of Unsatisfactory for the next couple months. But we've got a few games that we've already got kind of queued up for like a one-off to break things up a little bit for Casual Fridays. And Chase and I are going to be doing similar stuff there. Next week, however, you will be doing a deep dive here on the Casual Hour, which is a really very cool type of episode that we do. Think of it more of like a journalistic approach, more educational and formal. Heavy presentation from one person on the team here to the group.
Sometimes it's some show and tell, sometimes it's just tell.
Yeah.
It's always a fun time. Always a good time to learn about something.
And if you dig what we're doing here with podcast, you can listen along Fridays at 9 a.m. And we don't do this too often, but I'll just go ahead and say, like, hey, if you like what we're doing here, like, subscribe, follow where you can, whether it's for podcast, Twitch, YouTube. That all helps us out and lets us know kind of what you're into and what we should be doing. We're constantly evaluating all content from us here at the Casual Hour. So Chase, thank you so much tonight for the note. Johnny, rest up, feel better. Get ready for the factory on Friday. Or don't. I don't give a shit. I'm just trying to be nice. And that one's for free. Didn't cost you 75,000 points. And we'll be back Friday night, hopefully, for Unsatisfactory. Otherwise, Chase and I will be playing some games together and having a great time doing that too. Thanks, everybody. Be safe. Take care. Wear a mask. I'm Bobby. This is Chase. We'll be back later on. Take care.